Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning. So today we are going to learn about female reproductive system. I guess this is the last chapter lah for our subject human anatomy and physiology for today for this semester. Okay. So last week we have learned about male reproductive system. Kita dah belajar berkenaan dengan reproductive system untuk lelaki. So hari ini kita akan belajar berkenaan dengan reproductive system untuk perempuan, female reproductive system. There are some features such as hormones which are same lah, acting on both reproductive system, male and female, while others are a little bit different lah. So today we are going to learn, okay, the same aspects such as what we have learned in male reproductive system, okay, but this one is on female. Okay, this is the female reproductive system, the organs that are involved in female reproductive system. Okay, so we've got here from below, okay, this is a vagina, okay, we call it vagina, and then this is a cervix, a narrow pathway here, okay, and it's one of the part of uterus lah, and then kita ada and we've got a lot of ligaments here, ligaments to hold the uterus in position, uterus, vagina, and all of organs in the female reproductive system. The uterosacral ligament, lateral cervical ligament, okay, and then this is a lubang ureter, saluran air kencing, okay, untuk pergi ke bladder, and then bladder kat bahagian ni lah. Bukan ini, kita ambil section untuk female reproductive system sahaja. Okay, bladder dia ada bahagian lain. Alright, yang ni untuk female reproductive system sahaja. Bladder dan urethra untuk saluran air kencing, dan urinary system untuk perempuan adalah bahagian yang lain lah. Tetapi dia share, dia kita panggil approximate, kedudukan dia tu adalah dekat antara satu sama lain. And this is the body of uterus. Okay, uterus actually can be divided into many parts lah. Kita ada body, kita ada fundus, and then kita ada cervix here. Okay, cervix and body, ini adalah fundus. And then another ligament kita ada. This one, all of these three ligaments we call broad ligament. Ada mesosalpinx, mesovarium, and mesometrium. Blood and supply adalah ovarian blood and vessel, ovarian blood vessel, both artery and vein. Suspensory ligament of ovary, yang attached kepada ovary. Ini adalah ovary. Ovary adalah organ yang bertanggungjawab menghasilkan eggs lah, oocytes. Okay, yang which is needed for fertilization with the sperm coming from male. And then here we've got uterine or fallopian tube. Okay, so basically when the egg is we call it is dikeluarkan daripada ovary, expel out from the ovary. Okay, so it will go through this fembria, we call it fembria, and then going into the fallopian tube, and the fallopian tube, so it will meet the sperm and cause fertilization lah, zygote and so on, produce a baby. Then okay, ini adalah bahagian-bahagian fallopian tube. We got here ampulla, and this one we call isthmus, and this one is infundibulum, and this one is called fimbriae. And this is a round ligament of uterus, another ligament. So all of this ligament is actually very important to hold the position of uterus Okay, because we've got a term we call as apa nama Allah, Muhammad. Maknanya uterus tu dia jatuh, dia jatuh, dia tak hold position, dalam bila muscle ataupun ligament yang hold tu lemah di keliling tu, uterus tu boleh prolapse. Kita panggil uterine prolapse. Jadi uterine prolapse ni kita panggil emergency cases lah, kes yang berbahaya. Okay, dan kita kena acute management lah. Okay, so untuk uterus, dia punya wall dia adalah terdiri daripada endometrium yang dalam ni. Okay, and then myo ni muscle layer, myometrium and perimetrium. So in kita panggil kalau dalam period, kalau perempuan kena period, okay, selalunya wall ni dia akan tebal, dan bila tak ada attach of zygote atau baby yang tak di attach, fertilization tak berlaku, so wall ni dia akan pecah, rupture and menghasilkan darah lah. Jadi dia all of this influence by the hormone secreted by the our anteropituitary gland. Kita ada FSH dengan LH, dan kita akan belajar later in the next slides. Okay, so yang mempengaruhi ketebalan dan kenipisan wall ni lah, wall of uterus ni, especially myometrium and endometrium. Okay, and then kita ada sini adalah cervical canal, cervix, ini canal dia, ada external os. Okay, ini vagina lah. Alright, that is a little bit in brief lah, summary of organs that are involved in the female reproductive system. Okay, so the female reproductive system is designed to carry out several functions. Okay, the normal pH of the vagina is little bit acidic. Okay, 4. 40 weeks is the normal gestation period. Okay, maknanya seorang tu mengandung. Okay, gestation period ni period dia mengandung lah. So the normal gestation period will be 40 weeks. Okay, ataupun days, when we calculate it in days, it will be 280 days from last normal menstrual period in a normal gestation period. Okay, approximately about 400 oocytes radius between menarche and menopause. Menarche ni pertama kali dia dapat head, dapat height, dia kena period, and menopause ni adalah kali terakhir lah, dia dah stop dia punya period. So from puberty to the menopause, only about 400 to 500 eggs will reach maturity, be released from the ovary. 400,000 oocyte present at puberty. Maknanya yang mature daripada 400,000 ni ada, tapi yang mature hanyalah 400 ataupun 500 yang akan diriliskan ketika jangka hayat ataupun hidup seorang perempuan. Yang mature sajalah yang akan diriliskan. So diriliskan ni kalau dijumpa dengan sperm akan berlaku fertilization lah. Kalau tak ada eggs tu dia akan mati lah, mati, dan dia mempengaruhi muscle atau kita panggil lining of endometrium dekat uterus tu. Sebenarnya uterus tu dia menebal sebab dia bersedia untuk menerima bayi. It is ready to serve the implantation of the fetus lah. But when there is no fertilization occurred, so it will rupture and cause period ataupun haid lah. So 28 days is in a normal menstrual cycle. Okay, so every between mens tu selalunya average adalah 28 days lah, but case to case basis, setengah orang berbeza dengan orang yang lain. So terminology, oogenesis is the development of the egg ovum in the ovary. Kalau kita belajar sebenarnya spermatogenesis, the development of sperm. Dan kalau perempuan, kita panggil oogenesis, the development of egg ovum in the ovary. And then we got oogenia during fetal growth. The oogenia and 2N maknanya dia punya kromosom dia adalah 46, divide to form primary oocyte, mitosis lah. Primary oocyte still 46. At puberty, this will form secondary oocyte. Bila secondary oocyte, dia dah jadi haploid, maknanya dia dah jadi 23 kromosom, campur dengan another 23 kromosom daripada sperm, baru dia akan jadi 46 lah, lengkap untuk satu normal human life lah, and later each month. So granulosa cells ni adalah cells yang mengelilingi oocytes ni. It is responsible to nourish the developing egg cells. Again, yang diploid human cells contain 46 chromosome and is called diploid. And then haploid, ini yang tadilah saya dah cerita tadi, to any apa benda. Any haploid sex cells called gametes contain only 23 chromosome. Haploid. Vagina is a canal that connects the uterus to the environment. Kita dah tengok dah tadi. And cervix is a muscular ring of tissue at mouth of uterus, separating it from the vagina, holds the fetus in place. So ini apa yang berlaku dalam ovary. So basically ini adalah full grown oocyte lah. Yang ni yang akan kita panggil berlakunya fertilization dengan sperm. So before it is released to the fallopian tube, fembri to the fallopian tube to meet the sperm. So the maturation of oocyte is occurred, by the helping of this what we call as granulosa cells. So granulosa cells ni, later we will go through how the development of the fully grown oocyte. But basically this what we are going to see lah, in the ovary. So this oocyte will be surrounded by what we call here zona pellucida, and then cumulosa granulosa cells, the antrum, theca interna, theca externa, base melamina. Alright. So when this is released, so these granulosa cells and other substructures here will be collapsed, and also will influence the in terms of will be influenced by the hormones excreted, which later also will be kita kata mempengaruhi jugalah the ketebalan endometrium, and later mens occurs lah kalau tak ada fertilization. Kalau ada fertilization occurs, fetus then will be implanted attached to the uterus, so for another 9 months lah, for complete kita kata gestational period. Functions of female reproductive system. So formation of ovum lah in the ovary, and then reception of spermatozoa in the fallopian tube, provision of suitable environment for fertilization and fetal development, for baby birth, parturition, and lactation, the production of breast milk, which provides complete nourishment for the baby in its early life. So breast is also one of the female product, female product system. Dia untuk breast is used for lactation lah, untuk menyusukan anak. Similar to male reproductive system, we can also divide the female genitalia into external and internal genitalia, and we've got also accessory reproductive organs, such as breast lah. The external genitalia, the function is to enable sperm to enter the body, and protect the internal genital organs from infectious organism. And in internal genitalia, the internal genital organs form a pathway, genital tract. This pathway consists of the following functions. Number one, vagina, where sperm are deposited and form from which a baby can emerge, tempat keluar bayi, dan juga tempat kita kata sperm deposit lah. And then we've got uterus, where an embryo can develop into a fetus. And when there is a fertilization, zygote is formed, and then fetus, embryo fetus can be implanted into at the wall of uterus. Okay. Then fallopian tubes, where a sperm can fertilize an egg. So sperm tu dia deposit first dekat vagina, so dia akan lalu dekat uterus and go to the fallopian tube where it will meet the mature oocytes lah, telur yang matang. Ovaries which produce and release eggs. Okay, so in external structures or external genitalia, we've got mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, and vestibule. In the vestibule, we've got urethral opening, lubang air kencing, vagina orifice and hymen, lubang vagina dan hymen, Bartholin's glands and Skin's glands. Okay, sama macam dekat male reproductive system, they've also got glands, okay, for lubrication, untuk pelincir lah, untuk proses fertilization to conception tu berlaku dengan mudah. And then ada vestibular bulbs. Internal structures tadi kita dah explain a little bit, start daripada vagina, then go to uterus, fallopian tubes, and to ovaries. Okay, so this figure shows us the external genitalia, okay, in female reproductive system. So this is the mons pubis, and then there's a prepuce of clitoris here, and then kita ada part of vestibule. Dalam vestibule tu kita ada urethral orifice, lubang air kencing di hadapan, okay, anterior to the vagina orifice. Okay, when compared to the male reproductive system, kalau kita tahu, untuk urinary dan juga male punya reproductive punya system, dia share the same orifice, maknanya urethra. Tetapi dalam female, dia mempunyai dua lubang yang berbeza lah, lubang air kencing dan lubang peranakan tu, atau untuk untuk persenyawaan tu adalah dua entiti yang berbeza. Okay, so we've got here also folder of skin. Here is a labia majora, and the another one, majora maknanya dia major lah, dia tebas, dia besar. Labia minora maknanya kecil sikit. Okay, folder of skin. And then kita ada ni anus lah. Anus ni lubang untuk digestive system. And then we've got also opening of the duct of the greater vestibular gland, untuk lubrication. Bila berlakunya sexual intercourse, okay, untuk fertilization tu berlaku, so kena ada lubrication lah, pelincir. Same juga macam male reproductive system. Okay, so mons pubis, a region of adipose tissue above the vagina that is covered with hair. Okay, and then kita ada labia majora and minora, which enough endings and blood vessel protect internal organs against pathogens and functions in sexual arousal. Okay, so labia majora has two folds of adipose tissue that border each side of the vagina. The labia majora enclose and protect the other external reproductive organs, literally translated as large lips. Kalau kita selalunya kebanyakan terms in medicine ni daripada Latin words. So kalau kita translate literally, okay, maksud dia adalah dia macam seorang nampak bibir lah, bibir yang besar, large lips. The labia majora are relatively large and fleshy. It contains subsebaceous glands. After puberty, the labia majora are covered with hair. So basically, dia punya function lebih kepada protect other external reproductive organs lah. Okay. So labia minora, the labia minora are smaller folds of skin that lie inside the labia majora, contains no hair follicles or sweat glands. The folds contain connective tissues, numerous sebaceous glands, erectile muscle fibers, and numerous vessels and nerve ending. It surrounds the openings of the vagina, the canal that joins the lower part of the uterus to the outside of the body, and urethra, the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. Okay. And then we got clitoris here. Okay. It is a small cylindrical erectile body measuring about 1.5 to 2 centimeter It is situated in the most anterior part of the vulva. The two labia minora meets at the clitoris, a small sensitive protrusion. The clitoris is covered by a fold of skin called the prepuce, richly supplied with nerves. So basically, kalau sesuatu tu richly supplied with nerves, mainly it is involved in the sexual arousal lah. Untuk conception berlaku, masa conception berlaku, uh, apa so fertilization nak berlaku sexual intercourse tu, so sexual arousal tu sebenarnya kawasan untuk menaikkan sexual arousal tu usually will richly supplied with nerve untuk mudah dirangsang lah kita kata. The clitoris is very sensitive to stimulation and can become erect. Okay, and then we got vestibule. Vestibule ni satu kawasan yang kita kata mengandungi beberapa opening lah. First one, urethral opening, okay, untuk air kencing. And then vaginal orifice and hymen, ducts from the greater vestibula. So urethral opening situated in midline just in front of the vaginal orifice, about 1 to 1.5 centimeter below the pubic arch. Okay, and then we've got skin glands, also known as the lesser vestibular glands, and another one, ducts from the greater vestibula. Okay, ada two Bartholin's glands, ada dalam tu, one on each side. Each gland has a duct which measure about 2 cm and open in the vestibula outside. Kita nampak lubang untuk pelincir tu keluar lah, atau untuk apa, duct ni adalah daripada gland, ada duct macam laluan, okay, daripada laluan tu akan keluar cecair-cecair tersebut lah. Okay, close to the posterior end of vestibular bulb. During sexual excitement, it secretes abundant alkaline mucus which helps in lubrication. Okay. So vagina, orifice and hymen, tempat masuknya tempat keluar bayi, dan juga kita kata during sexual intercourse, the sperm deposit lah, where the penis deposit and sperm then expel out and deposit there, and from there it will go through the vagina, cervix, uterus and go to fallopian tube to meet the oocyte for fertilization occur. So it lies in the posterior end of the vestibule, okay, lubang vagina, vaginal orifice. It completely enclosed by a septum of mucous membrane called hymen. Hymen located just inside the vaginal opening. No non-function, not always present. It is usually ruptured at the consummation of marriage. Okay, so we have learned about the external structures and also in brief summary of female organs that are involved in female reproductive system. So ada apa-apa soalan? Any questions to us before we go to know a little bit about the internal structures of female reproductive system? Okay, anyone? Any questions? Alright, okay, kalau tak ada kita boleh proceed lah. So previously I have explained a little bit about internal genital organ. So now we are going to know in detail what are the internal genital organs present in female reproductive system. The first one is what we call vagina. Vagina is also called as a birth canal, a tube-like muscular but elastic organ, about 4 to 5 inches long in an adult woman. Okay, the pH environment is acidic. It is the passageway for sperm to the egg and for menstrual bleeding as well. Okay, tempat keluar untuk ketika berlakunya menstrual period, darah lah, tempat darah tu keluar. So organ of copulation, sexual intercourse, and forms the birth canal of parturition untuk birth. Okay, so kalau kita tengok daripada sisi, okay, ini adalah uterus. Okay, ini adalah lubang, ini adalah bladder di hadapan uterus tu. Okay, ini adalah cervix, dan bawah kita ada vagina. Alright. Okay, so yang ni kita ada urethral opening lah, orifice. Yang ni adalah vaginal orifice. Okay, so kalau kita tengok dari depan, from front view, okay, ini adalah vagina, okay, and then ini adalah cervix, yang ini adalah uterus, okay, uterus kita ada fundus, and cervix is also part of uterus lah actually. And then kita ada fallopian tube, fallopian tube kita ada bahagian dia pula, ada infundibulum, ada fimbriae, tempat yang mana keluarnya eggs from ovary here. And then kita punya uterus punya layer, kita ada endometrium, daripada dalam keluar. Endo means inside lah. Lawan dia exo. And then myo is a muscular layer, myometrium. And then kita ada perimetrium. Okay. Alright, so vagina, it is located here lah. When the penis is kita kata masuk dalam ni, and sperm is expelled out from here. Daripada sinilah dia akan pergi sampai ke fallopian tube to meet the eggs yang release daripada ovary. Okay, so vagina structures. Posterior wall of vagina is 10 cm long, while anterior wall is only 7.5 cm length. The upper end of the vagina is known as the vulva. It is pink in appearance. It connects the external genital organs to the uterus, the organ of sexual intercourse in women. Okay, so ini adalah tadi kita dah tahu vagina, yang ini adalah pula uterus. Okay, ini daripada front view uterus. So girls are born with over 1 million egg cells, but only about 400 are released during a lifetime of menstrual cycles. No new eggs develop after birth. The uterus is a thick wall muscular pear-shaped organ. It is located in the middle of the pelvis, behind the bladder and in front of the rectum. Okay. The uterus is anchored in position by several ligaments. The uterus consists of the cervix and the main body. We call this a corpus. The cervix is the lower part of the uterus, which protrudes into the upper part of the vagina. It can be seen during a pelvic examination. Like the vagina, the cervix is lined with a mucous membrane, but the mucous membrane of the cervix is smooth. Okay, selalunya kalau ketika nak beranak, mostly in hospital, doktor akan check bukaan cervical opening ni lah, nak tahu sama ada dah berapa cm. So usually 4 cm and above, maknanya dia dah nak kita kata berat dan nak beranak lah. While kalau dia masih lagi bukaan tu kecil, mungkin dia akan either suruh balik dulu ke ataupun kena warded until the cervical opening is large enough lah untuk birth punya proses. Okay. So sebenarnya bukaan cervix ni adalah based on the kalau time nak beranak itu based on the contraction of the uterus. Sebenarnya kalau kita perasan birth punya proses, uterus tu akan contract dan baby tu akan expel out lah. So contract of uterus tu akan mempengaruhi cervical opening bukaan cervix. So selalunya bila dah nak beranak, cervical opening tu akan lebih besar lah untuk menyedia ruang kepada kepala bayi tu nak keluar. Alright. Sperm can enter and menstrual blood can exit the uterus through a channel in the cervix. We call it a cervical canal. The cervical canal is usually narrow, but during labor, the canal widens to let the baby through. Saya cakap tadi lah. The cervix is usually a good barrier against bacteria, except around the time an egg is released by the ovaries ovulation during the menstrual period or during labor. Because at this time, the cervical opening will be large. Okay, so kita kata boleh it is susceptible to other microorganisms to enter and cause infection. So the main function of the uterus is to sustain a developing fetus, tempat untuk bayi itu duduk lah. It prepare for this possibility for each month. Maknanya ketika lepas dia, saya cakap tadi, kalau tak ada fertilization occurred, okay, the muscle, the endometrium tu dekat uterus tu dia akan rupture. Rupture itulah yang akan berlakunya menses lah. Darah akan keluar sebab actually benda-benda tu semua adalah sebenarnya penyediaan untuk bayi untuk melekat. Tapi kalau tak ada bayi melekat, barulah benda tu rupture, jatuh dan darah keluar. Okay. That's how menses occurs lah. Okay. At termination of pregnancy, it expels the uterine contents. Okay, layers of uterus, kita ada 3. First one is what we call as endometrium. It is the inner lining of uterus, nourishes developing embryo, built up each month for pregnancy, if not shed during menstruation. Just like I have explained before. Okay. Then we've got also myometrium, muscular support fetus, contracts at birth and to shed the endometrium during menstruation. And then perimetrium, a serous membrane that lines the outside of the uterus. Okay, so kita dah belajar berkenaan dengan vagina and then uterus. Okay, now we go to the fallopian tubes. Okay, kalau daripada tepi kita nak fallopian tubes tu dekat sini lah. And kalau daripada front view, this is the fallopian tube. A pair, there are 2 fallopian tubes here. So basically, during kita kata menses, sebelum menses tu sebenarnya, lepas menses, 14 days after menses, usually the egg will be released lah. Kita panggil waktu subur. So either from this side or this side. But in certain situation, special case, dua-dua pun boleh release egg. Tu yang kita boleh dapat kembar lah. Kembar kita panggil kembar tidak seiras. Okay, kalau kembar seiras, dia daripada satu fertilize, tapi time dia membahagi tu dia share the same kita kata same placenta. Tapi kalau daripada 2 tempat yang berbeza, dia akan ada 2 placenta yang berbeza lah, kembar tak seiras. So fallopian tubes or oviducts we call, it connects to each ovary. Egg will enter through an opening called a fembria ni, fembria. Daripada ni ovary, dia release, dia akan masuk sini lah, laluan untuk masuk ke fallopian tube. And then cilia sweep the egg down towards the uterus. Ada macam kita panggil rambut-rambut ciliated ni. Jadi dia akan tolak masuk egg ni ke dalam fallopian tube. And then daripada fallopian tube ke uterus lah. Fertilization will occur here or it will die within 48 hours. So waktu subuh tu, daripada waktu subuh tu akan bertahan selama 2 hari sahajalah, 48 hours. So kalau tak ada sperm introduce inside here, okay, so telur tu akan mati lah. Telur tu akan mati, fertilization tak ada occur dan menses tu akan berjalan seperti biasa. Right? The 2 fallopian tubes which are about 4 to 5 inches or about in centimeters 10 to 13 centimeters long extend from the upper edges of the uterus towards the ovaries. Okay, the fallopian tubes are lined with tiny hair-like projections called cilia untuk membantu pergerakan tisu egg tu. The cilia and the muscles in the tube swab propel an egg downward through the tube to the uterus. The egg may be fertilized by sperm in the fallopian tube. So fallopian tubes can be divided into parts lah. And we call it the isthmus, ampulla, infundibulum and intramural part. Okay, so this part is we call intramural, isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. Okay, so here in ovary, we can see the process of maturation egg occurs first. From granulosa cells, dia ada surrounded the egg, and then dia akan release egg tu akan pergi ke dalam fallopian tube, dan granulosa cell tu dia akan jadi collapse lah, dan dia akan start dengan yang baru pula untuk cycle. Setiap bulan akan ada satu egg keluar. And then ovaries, okay, we've got 2 female reproductive system, and they've got 2 ovaries here, each side a pair. The ovaries are usually pearl-colored, oblong, and about the size of a walnut. They are attached to the uterus by ligaments, in addition to producing female sex hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. And they also secrete male sex hormone, but minimal lah, sangat sikit, such as testosterone or androgen produce enormous ovaries in small amounts. Combined with estrogen, testosterone helps growth, maintenance, and repair of women's reproductive tissues, bone mass, and human behaviors. Right? And the ovary produce and release eggs. The developing egg cells, we call it as oocytes, are contained in fluid cavities follicles in the wall of the ovaries. Each follicle contains one oocyte. Okay, so ini adalah telur, egg. Okay, development of egg we call it genesis and development of follicle. Sekeliling egg ni, ini biru, ni dia duduk, sebenarnya dia bukan terasa macam ni je lah. Dia ada dia punya follicle atau apa kita kata dia ada pelindung dia, follicle. Alright, so kita go through one by one, from the development of egg atau genesis here. Kita akan nampak yang first dia akan melalui proses division of mitosis lah. Daripada ujonia dia akan jadi primary oocyte. Okay, ni masa kecil. Sebelum before birth. Okay, and then from adolescence to menopause. Sebab beranak pun semasa kecil lah. Beranak pun masa kecil. Egg yang ada dalam ovary tu adalah dalam bentuk primary oocyte. Then sebelum balik lah kita kata. Sebelum first mens occurred. Menarche. So yang ni dia akan ada macam ni sahajalah. Okay, dia tak berkembang lagi. Jadi bila berlakunya puberty, bila berlakunya mens, semua dia disebabkan bila ada hormon. Okay, hormon daripada kita punya daripada hypothalamus pergi ke anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland akan release hormon FSH dengan LH, macam lelaki juga. Okay, so benda tu dia akan mengubah pembentukan atau maturation of egg inside the follicle here. Okay, kita go to the egg first. Benda yang sama tapi benda ni berlaku duduk dalam ni lah. Okay, alright, so dia akan melalui proses meiosis. Maknanya daripada diploid 46 dia akan jadi gamete cell, which is 23. And can be secondary oocyte lah kita panggil. And then secondary oocyte ni dia ovulate, dia akan diriliskan. Release kalau dia tak fertilize, tak jumpa dengan sperm, dia akan mati lah. Okay, kalau if fertilize, ada sperm masuk, maknanya another 23 chromosome. And then dia akan meiosis tu, another replication. Kalau dia jadi develop balik. Inilah pembentukan manusia yang baru lah, bayi yang baru, zygote and then embryo. Okay, so yang ni pula, tapi dia bukannya macam ni saja, tetapi dia proses dia tu sebenarnya dia dalam within a follicle. Okay, sekeliling dia yang dibantu oleh granulosa cells lah yang saya explain awal-awal tadi. So granulosa cells ni dia akan membentuk kita ada zona pellucida, tika folliculi. This one we call primary follicle, kita ada secondary follicle, tertiary follicle. Okay, so yang ni ada cecair dalam follicle ni kita panggil antrum. Lapisan luar ni kita panggil tika externa, ni tika interna. Okay, lepas tu bila ada berlakunya proses ovulation, okay, waktu subuh dia akan riliskan oocyte ni keluar. Jadi bila dia keluar, yang laki ni dia akan jadi yang pelindung dia ni akan kita panggil subside and we beri corpus luteum lah. Yang ini pula dia akan ini fembria, dia diriliskan daripada fembria, ini dia telur ni lah. Telur yang diriliskan daripada follicle kalau kita tengok bawah mikroskop. Okay, and then benda ni lah yang akan pergi ke fallopian tube. Yang follicle yang jadi tadi tu dia akan subside, dia akan jadi corpus luteum. Okay, that's a little bit about the process of oogenesis and follicle development. Okay. Kita tengok.
A primordial follicle consists of an oocyte surrounded by a single layer of squamous granulosa cells. A primordial follicle becomes a primary follicle.
Boleh dengar?
Granulosa cells become enlarged and cuboidal. The primary follicle enlarges and the granulosa cells form more than one layer. The zona pellucida forms around the oocyte. The structure is called a secondary follicle when fluid-filled vesicles develop among the granulosa cells and a well-developed capsule, or theca, becomes apparent around the granulosa cells. The theca possesses internal and external layers. The structure is called a mature follicle when the fluid-filled vesicles form a single antrum. At full maturity, the oocyte is located in the cumulus mass. During ovulation, the oocyte is released from the follicle, along with some surrounding granulosa cells of the cumulus mass, called the corona radiata.
Ini masa ovulation lah, mana egg
Following
to release.
ovulation, the granulosa cells divide rapidly and enlarge to form the yellow corpus luteum. When the corpus luteum degenerates, it forms the white corpus albicans.
Okay, boleh faham ke? Ada soalan tak? Berkenaan proses oogenesis dan ovulation ni. Anyone? Senyap je.
No questions, sir.
Okay, alright. Okay, so next. So this is we call it as ovarian cycle. Okay, dalam ovarian cycle ni macam tadi kita dah tengok developing follicles how it occurred from my explanation, also from the video itself. Okay, daripada primary, secondary, tertiary dalam ovary and then of course ovulation, release of egg and then this follicle become corpus luteum, involution, corpus albicans and akan yang baru pula lah, new primordial follicle, dia akan repeat their cycle. So all of these kita panggil developing follicles and also the egg adalah disebabkan is caused by the hormone release in the anterior pituitary gland, okay, gonadotrophin secretion. So awal-awal tu sebab tu kita panggil follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. Maknanya dia stimulate hormone lah. Maknanya follicle dia stimulate follicle ni, follicle stimulator hormone. Hormone ni stimulate follicle and develop the follicle primary, secondary, tertiary. So that's why the hormone secretion is very high lah early after the mens tu berlaku. Okay, so after 14 days daripada mens tu berlaku, akan berlaku ovulation. So kenapa ovulation ni berlaku? Sebab time ni LH, luteinizing hormone pula akan tinggi. Okay, so tinggi dia akan menyebabkan benda tu release. And then benda tu akan dia akan jatuhlah, subside. Okay, sampai dia akan sambung balik untuk month yang seterusnya. Okay. So ovulation is a process of releasing one mature ovum each month into that ovary's fallopian tube. Okay, 2 to 300,000 immature ova in ovaries at birth. Okay, but about 400 je lah yang akan diriliskan mature. Hormones from pituitary causes ovaries to begin producing female sex hormones. Ovum begins to mature. Ovum can live about 2 days in fallopian tube. One sperm will enter the ovum and fertilization and conception pun occurred. Okay, so tadi kita tengok based on kepada ovulation ataupun kesuburan macam mana egg to release. Okay, yang ni kita tengok daripada perspektif penyediaan untuk menerima fertilization ataupun conception yang berlaku. Maknanya dia nak sediakan tempat untuk bayi lah kalau punya berlaku fertilization dekat uterus. Okay, so menstrual cycle ni adalah apa yang berlaku dekat dinding uterus. Okay, right. So consists of a build-up of the endometrium during the most of the sexual cycle, followed by its breakdown and the vaginal discharge. It can be divided into 4 phases, and we call it first one the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase, premenstrual phase and menstrual phase. Okay, proliferative phase is a layer of endometrial tissue and strengthened functionally lost in the last menstrual is rebuilt. Maknanya tempat awal-awal lepas berlakunya mens, okay, contohnya lebih kurang seminggu kan, menstrual phase, and then dia akan slowly lepas dinding yang lama tu dah ruptured, dia akan membina dinding-dinding yang baru lah. Okay. Sebabkan ada secretion of hormone of estrogen here, estradiol. Okay. So bila benda ni kita kata dia expose to the estrogen punya hormone, proliferative phase tu berlaku lah. Dinding tu akan jadi tebal. Blood vessel pun akan sangat banyak lah dekat sini. And then secretory phase, ini dia ada cair fluid. Endometrium thickens still more in response to progesterone from corpus luteum. Okay. So daripada corpus luteum yang yang ni kan, daripada lepas dah ovulation tu berlaku, corpus luteum tu dia akan menghasilkan progesteron. Okay, progesteron tu akan menyebabkan dinding tu, sebab dia expect after the ovulation ni, dia expect after ovulation akan berlakunya fertilization, penyediaan dinding yang tebal. So corpus luteum ni dia akan secrete progesteron. Progesteron akan menyebabkan dinding ni tebal in secretory phase lah, endometrium thickens. And then ada premenstrual phase. Kalau tak ada berlakunya kita kata fertilization, tak ada bayi yang melekat, benda tu, so benda ni dia akan kata akan proceed kepada pre lah, sebelum mens, period of endometrial degeneration, last 2 days of cycle. Kat ujung-ujung ni lah. Okay, maknanya benda tu bila bayi tak melekat, okay, progesteron ni pun dia akan jatuh. Tapi zygote tu sendiri, kalau ada berlaku fertilization, zygote tu benda tu sendiri dia akan hasilkan progesteron yang sambung sehingga akhir pregnant lah. Yang mana akan meletakkan dinding tu makin tebal, makin tebal, makin tebal untuk nutrition to the fetus. Tapi kalau tak ada fertilization occurred, progesteron ni dia akan jatuh balik hormon dia. Bila tak ada progesteron, dinding ni pun dia akan jatuh balik. Tapi kalau ada fertilization occurred, okay, benda tu sendiri dia akan zygote, baik benda yang conception atau fertilization tu sendiri, fetus tu sendiri, benda tu dia akan meningkatkan juga hormon progesteron ni secreted sepanjang kita kata proses mengandung tu lah. Jadi dia akan stay up kalau ada pregnancy lah. Kalau tak ada, dia akan jatuh balik sebab progesteron dah tak ada. Okay, so menstrual phase akan berlaku, discharge of menstrual fluid from the vagina and menses akan berlakulah proses kita kata datang haid ataupun menses. Okay, so that is how menstrual cycle occurred. Okay, kalau kita tengok dekat endometrial changes, dekat endometrium tu, kat proliferative phase, ada I3 tu jadi spiral, maknanya banyak salur darah lah kat sini. Endometrial gland, strata functionalis, stratum basilis dekat bawah. Ini kita panggil strata functionalis. Ini myometrium. Okay, yang ni adalah muscle ya. And then secretory phase, kita nampak ada banyak secretion lah berlaku. Time ni untuk penyediaan kalau ada berlakunya fertilization ataupun ada bayi yang melekat. Dan kalau tak ada, kita dah tak ada progesteron, menstrual phase akan berlaku, benda ni akan ruptured. Okay, dan dia akan keluarlah darah tu melalui vaginal orifice. So and then cycle ni pun akan ulang balik, new mens, new cycle based on the yang macam kita tengok awal-awal tadi lah, LH, FSH, dan juga penyediaan endometrium itu sendiri daripada proliferative phase, secretory phase, premenstrual phase and menstrual phase. Okay, yang ni female sexual response. Okay, apa yang berlaku ketika sexual response lebih kurang macam male juga, ada excitement, desire. Okay, daripada ada dopamine sensitive accessory center. Okay, and then ada arousal phase. Parasympathetic nervous system akan menyebabkan enlarged clitoris, perivagina artery dilatation and expansion of inner to third vagina. Maknanya dia untuk menerima penerimaan penisla lah untuk bila expel out of sperm, nak menyediakan environment ataupun keadaan ruang yang sesuai supaya boleh menyediakan sperm tu boleh masuk. So that's why inner to the vagina increasing length and width. And then orgasm, outer one-third vagina congestion, tightening berlaku, elevated sling contraction, other physical changes juga pun berlaku, heart rate, blood pressure and respiratory rate. And then ada resolution. Okay, so kita nampak during desire, mainly in summary lah apa yang berlaku, akan ada berlakunya enlarged clitoris, vagina dia pun akan kita panggil increasing length and width. Okay, untuk penyediaan kita panggil inclusion of penis and also the expel out of sperm yang mana akan melalui cervix dan ke arah uterus dan juga kepada fallopian tube. Okay, alright. Okay, this is the last slide. Accessory gland untuk female reproductive system, we've got mammary glands lah, ataupun kita panggil dekat breast lah. Breast ni kita ada banyak gland. Banyak gland yang untuk buat penghasilan susu, mana untuk penyusuan bayi. Okay, yang ni kita panggil ductiles, and then duct, susu ni daripada ni dihasilkan dan akan pergi kepada duct opening. Right, duct opening ni mana susu tu akan dikeluarkan lah. The mammary glands are sweat glands specialized for the production of milk. The milk producing secretory cells form walls of bulb-shaped chambers called alveoli that join together with ducts in great blood pressure to form clusters called lobules. Okay, so I think that's all for our today's lecture. Okay, regarding female reproductive system. So in summary, what we have learned today is what organs are involved in the female reproductive system. We've got external and internal genitalia. External mainly terlibat involved in sexual arousal and also protection of the inner genital organs lah. Okay, and then in the inner genital organs involved in the reproductive system. Okay, during menses and also sexual intercourse and also kita panggil readiness to implant the to ready the place for fetus to be implanted. Okay, yang mana dia boleh berada dalam dinding uterus and pregnancy occurs. If no pregnancy occurs, menses akan berlaku. Okay, and we also learn about the ovarian cycle and also menstrual cycle and what actually occurs in and also in ovulation, how ovulation develop, macam mana waktu kesuburan tu berlaku, release of egg to meet the sperm in the fallopian tube for the fertilization. And then kita tahu macam mana endometrium tu berubah mengikut hormon yang diriliskan oleh anterobutatory gland dan FSH dengan LH. And then penyediaan endometrium tu dipengaruhi oleh estrogen dan progesterone lah. Alright. So any questions regarding our topic today, female reproductive system? Ada soalan tak?
Tak ada, sir.
Tak ada So I assume, I guess all of you can understand very well this topic. And for attendance can boleh tandakan lah dekat kalam. Alright. Okay, kejap. Alright, I think that's all for our today's lecture. Okay.